Command, this is Sierra 1. The herd is mobilized. I repeat, they are surrounding the rig.
We read you, Sierra 1. Hold position and monitor.
Before we enter Yellowstone, where we drilled too deep and woke something ancient, do me a favor. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and if you visited Yellowstone National Park. Hit that like button if the idea of nature fighting back terrifies you. Subscribe for more real military encounters that prove we're not always the good guys. Now, let's talk about the guardians we should never have challenged. I am David Morrison, a senior sergeant serving in the United States Army Rangers 75th Regiment. The information I am about to share with you will fundamentally change your perspective on Yellowstone National Park. It will also change your perspective on those sweet bison that tourists photograph in the summer. It will completely change your thoughts about the relationship between humanity and nature, and who and what the real monsters are when we enter places we don't belong. 8 people died in Yellowstone in August 2023. The official report says equipment malfunction and accidental stampede. That's a cover-up designed to prevent panic, to prevent the public from learning that we almost triggered the Yellowstone Supervolcano eruption, that we were stopped by creatures we thought were just animals, that the bison of Yellowstone aren't mindless grazers. They're intelligent guardians who've been protecting the supervolcano for centuries. And when we drilled into something we shouldn't have, when we breached an underground chamber that had been sealed for thousands of years, the herd reacted. Not with animal panic, with coordinated military precision, with communication, with strategy, with a single purpose: stop the humans before they destroy everything. 2,000 bison, moving as one consciousness, speaking human language, using tactics I'd only seen from trained soldiers, all to deliver one message: stop drilling or the mountain erupts. We didn't listen. 8 people died, and I survived only because one of our team realized the truth and sacrificed himself to fix our mistake, to seal the breach, to prevent the eruption that would have killed millions. This is the story of how Army Rangers went to Yellowstone to protect scientists, and ended up being saved by the creatures we were ordered to kill. It started as a routine assignment. August 12, 2023. 10 Army Rangers deployed to Yellowstone National Park to provide security for a geological survey team. The team was led by Dr. Sarah Chen, a volcanologist studying the Yellowstone supervolcano, the massive magma chamber beneath the park that, if it erupted, would devastate the entire North American continent. Our team, Lieutenant Jake Wilson, Staff Sergeants Rodriguez and myself, Sergeants Thompson and Martinez, Specialists Anderson, Foster, and Chen, Corporals Jackson and Davis. The scientists' mission was simple: drill 500 feet near Old Faithful to place seismic sensors directly above a suspected gas pocket. The sensors would provide early warning if the supervolcano showed signs of erupting. Save millions of lives. Standard geological monitoring. We'd done similar protection details before. This will be the easiest assignment you've ever had, Wilson told us during the briefing. 3 days. Protect the scientists while they drill. Keep tourists away from the work site. Go home. You'll probably spend most of your time taking photos of bison. We all laughed. Bison. The iconic animals of Yellowstone. Massive, sure. Dangerous if you get too close. But mostly they just grazed and ignored humans. Thousands of tourists photographed them every year without incident. The biggest threat we expected was someone trying to pet one and getting gored. If only we'd known. Dr. Chen was excited when we arrived at the drill site on August 13th. "This is unprecedented access," she explained, as her team set up equipment. "We've never been able to drill this close to a known gas pocket. The data we'll gather will revolutionize our understanding of supervolcano behavior, early warning systems, eruption prediction. This could save millions of lives. Is it safe? Rodriguez asked, watching the massive drill being assembled. Drilling into a supervolcano? That sounds like poking a sleeping dragon. Completely safe, Dr. Chen assured him. We've modeled every scenario. The gas pocket we're targeting is small, stable, and at least 50 feet below our planned drilling depth. We'll never even touch it. We're just placing sensors nearby. Think of it like putting a thermometer next to a heater, not inside it. The drilling began at 0800 hours on August 14th. The plan was to drill 500 feet over 2 days, place the sensors, seal the hole, and extract. Simple, clean, scientific. For the first day, everything went perfectly. The drill descended smoothly. 100 feet, 200 feet, 300 feet. The scientists monitored constantly, temperature readings normal, pressure stable, no seismic activity. By nightfall, they'd reached 450 feet. Only 50 feet to go. See, Dr. Chen said to Wilson that evening. Textbook operation. Tomorrow, we finish drilling, place the sensors, and celebrate with the world's most dangerous geology research mission completed safely. But that night, I noticed something strange. I was on watch at 0200 hours when I saw movement in the distance. Bison. Lots of them. Maybe 200 visible in the moonlight, and they were all facing the same direction, toward our drill site. Not moving, not grazing, just standing, staring in perfect unison. That's weird, I muttered to Foster, who was on watch with me. You ever see bison do that, all facing the exact same way? Foster looked through his night vision scope. Maybe they're watching for predators, heard wolves or something? All of them at the same time? From this distance? They're animals, Morrison. They do weird stuff sometimes, don't overthink it. But I couldn't shake the feeling. 200 bison, all staring at us, like they were waiting for something, watching for something, guarding against something. The drilling resumed at 600 hours on August 15th. Dr. Chen was confident they'd finish by noon. 497 feet, she announced at 10:45 hours. 3 feet to target depth. This is it, team. History in the making. The drill descended. 498 feet. 499 feet. And then, at exactly 497.3 feet, everything changed. The drill bit broke through. Not into rock, into space, a cavity, an underground chamber that shouldn't have existed at that depth. That wasn't on any of Dr. Chen's models or surveys or predictions. For 1 second, there was silence as the drill spun in empty air. Then the ground shook. Not an earthquake. A rumble, like something exhaling, like pressure being released from a sealed container. The drill hole began venting gas, orange gas, glowing faintly with geothermal heat. The temperature around the hole spiked. Our instruments jumped from 65 degrees Fahrenheit to 150 degrees Fahrenheit in seconds. "Shut it down!" Dr. Chen screamed. "We've breached something. Emergency shutdown, now!" The drill operators killed the machinery. But the venting continued. Gas pouring from the hole, the ground around it cracking, small fissures spreading from the breach site, steam rising. The smell of sulfur thick in the air. "What did we hit?" Wilson demanded. "You said this was safe. You said we wouldn't breach anything." "We shouldn't have." Dr. Chen was frantically checking her instruments. There was no cavity on our scans. No gas pocket at this depth. This chamber shouldn't exist. It's like something was sealed down there, deliberately sealed, and we just broke it open. That's when I heard it. From across the valley, from the hills, from every direction, the sound that would haunt my nightmares. Bellowing. Not one bison, not a dozen, hundreds, maybe thousands, all at once, all making the exact same sound, in perfect synchronization. One voice from 1,000 throats. "What the hell is that?" Anderson whispered. I grabbed my binoculars, looked toward the sound, and what I saw made my blood run cold. Bison everywhere. Hundreds visible from my position, probably thousands more beyond the hills. And they were all doing the same thing, all at exactly the same moment. They'd all turned toward our drill site, from miles away, all facing the exact same direction, all making that synchronized bellow. And then, as one, they started moving, not running, not stampeding, walking, deliberately, in formation, converging on our position from every direction. "Dr. Chen," I said quietly, "how many bison are in Yellowstone?" "About 5,000 total," she replied, still focused on her instruments. "Why?" "Because I think they all just turned toward us, and they're coming." Wilson grabbed his own binoculars, scanned the horizon, went pale. That's not possible. They're moving in formation. Look at the spacing. Look at the coordination. That's military precision. Animals don't move like that." "These ones do," I said. "The scientists secured their equipment. We established a defensive perimeter around the drill site. Loaded weapons. Prepared for what? A bison stampede? An organized attack? We didn't know. We just knew that something was wrong. That we'd triggered something. That the bison were responding to what we'd done. They arrived at our perimeter 30 minutes later. Maybe 2,000 bison. Impossible to count them all. They formed a perfect circle around the drill site. Exactly 100 meters out. Not closer, not farther. Exactly 100 meters. Like a military cordon, like a siege perimeter. And they stopped. All at once. All at exactly the same moment. 2,000 bison, standing perfectly still, perfectly spaced, all facing inward toward us, toward the drill, toward the breach we'd created. "This isn't normal animal behavior," Rodriguez said. "This is coordinated, intelligent, purposeful." The scientists were terrified. Dr. Chen's assistant, a young geologist named Michael Torres, was hyperventilating. "They're going to stampede. They're going to kill us. We need to evacuate. Now." "Nobody moves," Wilson ordered. "We hold position. We don't provoke them. We see what they do." What they did was stranger than any of us could have imagined. One bison stepped forward from the circle, massive, easily 8 feet at the shoulder, 1,500 pounds of muscle and horn, an alpha bull, dominant male. He walked slowly toward us, stopped 50 meters away, and he looked at us. Direct eye contact. Not the vacant stare of an animal. Focused, intelligent, aware. His eyes were wrong. Normal bison eyes are dark brown, almost black. This one's eyes reflected the light, glowed faintly orange, like there was heat inside him, like he was lit from within by the same geothermal energy that powered the supervolcano beneath our feet. And then he spoke, not bellowed, not made animal sounds, spoke in English. One word, deep, rumbling, like rocks grinding, but clear, unmistakable, purposeful. "Stop!" We all froze. 8 rangers, 5 scientists, 13 people staring at a bison that had just spoken human language. "Did that?" Thompson started. "Did that bison just—" The alpha took another step forward, lowered his head slightly, not submission, communication, making sure we could hear him, making sure we understood. "Stop. Drilling. Danger." Oh my God. Dr. Chen whispered. It's talking. That's impossible. Bison don't have the vocal cords for human speech. They don't have the intelligence for language. This can't be real. Real, the Alpha said, responding to her words, proving he understood, proving this wasn't a trick or a recording or a hallucination. You, danger, mountain, angry. The mountain? I said. You mean the supervolcano, the magma chamber? The Alpha's eyes flared brighter, orange light intensifying. Mountain, angry, you, break, seal, now, danger, all, die. He was telling us, warning us, the breach we'd created, the chamber we'd drilled into. It was supposed to be sealed, and by opening it, we'd triggered something dangerous, something that could kill everyone. This is a trick, Dr. Chen said, her scientific mind struggling to accept what she was seeing. Someone's out there with speakers, playing recorded sounds. This is a prank, a very elaborate, very disturbing prank. You not. Listen, the Alpha said. Then he turned his head, looked back at the 2,000 bison surrounding us, and he made a different sound, not English, not human. A low, rumbling call that carried across the valley. And every bison responded, in unison, the same sound, at the same volume, at the same pitch, like one voice amplified 2,000 times. They're connected, Foster breathed. Oh God, they're all connected, hive mind. They're one consciousness in multiple bodies. The Alpha turned back to us. Stop, drilling, seal, breach, or we, stop, you. It's threatening us, Wilson said. He raised his rifle. Back away from the drill site, all of you. This is military property, federal land. You will disperse immediately or we will open fire. The Alpha didn't move, didn't retreat, just stared at Wilson with those glowing orange eyes, and he spoke one more time. You, choose, death. Then he turned and walked back to the circle, rejoined the herd, and the 2,000 bison waited, patient, organized, ready. Sir, I don't think we should antagonize them, I said to Wilson. They're trying to warn us about something. Maybe we should listen. Maybe we should seal the breach like they're animals, Wilson interrupted. Trained animals, obviously. Someone's behind this. Some environmental extremist trying to stop geological research. We're not backing down because of a circus act. But, sir, Dr. Chen, can you seal the breach? Wilson asked. Dr. Chen was shaking, torn between scientific curiosity and terror. I can try, but the venting hasn't stopped. The pressure is still building. If we seal it incorrectly, if we trap the pressure inside, it could trigger seismic activity. It could. Can you seal it or not? Yes, but I need time, equipment, and I need those bison to not stampede while we work. Wilson nodded, turned to me. Morrison, Thompson, take position. If those bison move toward the drill, you stop them. Aim for the Alpha. Show them we're serious. Sir, I really don't think... That's an order, Sergeant. Thompson and I took position. Weapons ready. Aimed at the Alpha bull. The creature that had spoken to us in English. The creature that was trying to warn us. The creature we were about to kill if it moved. Dr. Chen and her team worked frantically on sealing the breach, setting up equipment, preparing cement mixture, trying to cap the venting hole before more pressure escaped, before the underground chamber destabilized, before whatever the Alpha had warned us about came to pass. The bison watched, 2,000 sets of eyes, all focused on the drill, on the breach, on the humans trying to fix what they'd broken, and they waited. For 30 minutes there was tense silence. Just the sound of Dr. Chen's team working, the hiss of venting gas, the wind across the valley, and 2,000 bison breathing in perfect synchronization. Then, Dr. Chen made a mistake. She dropped a wrench. It fell into the drill hole, disappeared into the breach, and seconds later we heard it hit something far below. Hit it hard, and the something cracked. The venting increased. The temperature spiked again. The ground shook. Not a small rumble this time, a genuine earthquake, 4.5 magnitude, centered directly beneath the drill site, radiating outward, felt for miles. And the bison reacted. The alpha stood, made that rumbling call, and the entire herd responded. Not with sound, with movement. The circle began tightening, slow, controlled, coordinated. 2,000 bison walking toward us in perfect formation, closing the distance. 100 meters, 90, 80. "They're charging," Thompson yelled. "Not charging," I corrected. "Advancing. There's a difference. They're still controlled, still organized." "Stop drilling," the alpha bellowed. His voice was different now, louder, more forceful, angry. "Stop, now, last warning." Wilson made the call. "Fire, take down the alpha, show them we're not backing down." Thompson hesitated. "Sir, he's trying to help us. He's warning us about—" "Fire! That's an order!" Thompson fired. 3 rounds, center mass, hit the alpha in the shoulder and chest. The massive bison staggered. Black blood sprayed. He should have dropped, should have died, but he stayed standing, turned his head to look at Thompson, and in his eyes, God, in his eyes, I saw something that made me realize the magnitude of our mistake. Not animal pain, not rage, sadness, disappointment. The look of someone who tried to save you and was rejected. The look of someone who'd done everything they could and failed. The alpha opened his mouth. Blood dripped from the wounds, and he spoke one final word. "Foolish." Then he collapsed. Dead. Killed by Army Rangers who thought they were protecting scientists, who thought they were doing their duty, who thought the creature trying to save them was the threat. For 3 seconds, absolute silence. Then the herd moved, not advancing anymore, stampeding. All 2,000 at once, a coordinated charge from every direction. The circle collapsing inward, toward us, toward the drill, toward the humans who'd killed their leader and ignored their warnings. "Fall back!" Wilson screamed. "Everyone to the vehicles! Move!" We ran. Scientists dropped their equipment. Rangers provided covering fire. We poured rounds into the charging herd, dropped dozens of bison. But for every one that fell, 100 more kept coming. Unstoppable. Inevitable. A living tsunami of fur and horn and rage. Dr. Chen didn't make it. She was too close to the drill, too far from the vehicles. 3 bison reached her first, trampled her, continued past without slowing. Her team, Torres, a seismologist named Jennifer Zhao, and a drilling specialist named Mark Sullivan, were caught in the same charge. Gone. Crushed. Corporal Davis took a horn to the chest, went down. The herd ran over him, didn't even break stride. Specialist Foster fell, I don't know how. Maybe tripped, maybe hit by a bison, but he hit the ground, and the stampede consumed him. His screams lasted maybe 2 seconds, then silence. 7 of us made it to the vehicles. 6 Rangers, Wilson, Rodriguez, Thompson, Martinez, Anderson, and myself, and 1 scientist, Dr. Chen's assistant, a young woman named Emma Harris, who'd been at the vehicles when the stampede started. We piled into 2 military trucks, started engines, drove, the bison pursuing, still coordinated, still organized, not mindless animals in panic, hunters chasing prey. predators who'd decided that the threat needed to be eliminated. We made it 2 miles before they stopped chasing. Just stopped, all at once, all at the exact same moment. Stood in the road, watching us leave. And as I looked back through the rear window, I saw them. Not scattered from the stampede, not disorganized. In formation, perfect military formation, arranged in patterns. And if I looked at the pattern from above, which I couldn't, but I could imagine, I knew what it would spell. Stop drilling. They were still trying to communicate, still trying to warn us, still trying to save us from ourselves. And we'd killed their leader, broken their peace, started a war with creatures that were only trying to protect everyone from the catastrophe we were creating. 7 survivors out of 13. 5 people dead because we didn't listen. Because we thought we knew better than creatures that had been guarding Yellowstone for centuries. And the worst part? The breach was still open. Still venting, still building pressure. The earthquake Dr. Chen had triggered was just the beginning. The real eruption hadn't started yet. But it was coming. And the only ones who could have stopped it were the creatures we'd just declared war on. We reached the Old Faithful Visitor Center at 1400 hours. Barricaded ourselves inside. 7 survivors, 6 rangers and 1 scientist, surrounded by a national park that had turned hostile. Through the windows we could see them. Bison. Hundreds of them. Maybe 1,000. Surrounding the building in concentric circles. Not attacking, not stampeding, just waiting. Watching. Maintaining perfect siege positions. "They're not leaving," Rodriguez said, scanning the perimeter. "They've got us boxed in. Every exit covered, every window monitored. This is a coordinated siege. Animals don't do this." "These ones do," I replied. Because it was obvious now. Whatever we thought we knew about Bison, about their intelligence, their capabilities, their purpose, was wrong. The herd wasn't just smart. It was organized, unified, purposeful. Wilson was on the radio trying to reach command. "This is Ranger Team 7, requesting immediate extraction. We have 5 KIA, 2 civilians down, and we're surrounded by hostile wildlife. Repeat, requesting immediate extraction." Static, then a voice. "Team 7, what is the nature of the hostile wildlife?" "Bison, sir. Approximately 1,000. They've organized. They're surrounding our position, and they're not dispersing." A pause, then, "Bison? You're requesting emergency extraction because of bison?" "Sir, they killed 5 people. They're exhibiting coordinated behavior. One of them spoke to us, in English. These aren't normal animals." Another pause, longer this time. "Team 7, are you reporting combat fatigue? Stress-related delusions? We can arrange psychiatric evaluation." "Sir, this is real. They're intelligent. They warned us about the drilling, and we didn't listen, and now they've killed half our team." "Stand by, Team 7. We're reviewing satellite footage of your location. Extraction team will be deployed pending threat assessment." The radio went silent. Wilson threw it across the room. "They think we're crazy. They're not going to extract us. We're on our own." Emma Harris, the surviving scientist, was at a computer terminal. The visitor center had basic seismic monitoring equipment. Nothing compared to Dr. Chen's mobile lab, but enough to track major geological activity, and what she was seeing made her face go pale. "Oh God," Emma whispered. "Oh God, they were right. The bison were right." "What are you seeing?" I asked, joining her at the monitor. "Seismic activity. It's spiking. The breach Dr. Chen created, it's not sealed. It's still venting pressure. And the earthquake we felt? That was just the pressure adjusting. There's more coming. Much more. Look at this pattern." She pulled up a graph. Seismic readings from the past 6 hours. A steady increase in activity. small earthquakes every few minutes, each one slightly stronger than the last, building toward something, building toward a major event. This is a precursor pattern, Emma explained. Classic warning signs of volcanic eruption. The magma chamber is destabilizing, pressure is building. If this continues for another 12 hours, we're looking at a potential eruption event. Not a full supervolcano eruption. That would require decades of pressure buildup, but a significant eruption, enough to devastate the entire park. Maybe enough to trigger broader seismic activity across the caldera. How many people would die? Thompson asked. In the park right now? 4 million tourists visit Yellowstone annually. In August, peak season, probably 10,000 people in the park on any given day. If the eruption is bad enough, if it triggers pyroclastic flows or widespread earthquake damage. Most of them. And the Bison knew, I said quietly. The Alpha tried to warn us, told us we broke a seal, told us the mountain was angry, told us to stop drilling before it was too late. And we killed him for it. Rodriguez was at the window, watching the herd. They're not moving, they're just waiting. What are they waiting for? For us to fix it, I replied. Or for us to die trying. Those are probably the only two options at this point. At 1500 hours, the Bison did something that confirmed every terrifying suspicion we had about their intelligence. They started moving, not attacking, rearranging. Hundreds of Bison shifting positions around the visitor center, walking to specific locations, stopping in specific patterns. From ground level, it looked random, but Anderson had pulled up a satellite feed on the visitor center's computer, live imagery from National Park Service monitoring cameras. From above, the pattern was clear. The Bison had formed letters, massive letters, each one maybe 50 meters tall, spelled out using their bodies. Hundreds of Bison per letter, perfect formation, perfect spacing, readable from above. Seal breach. They're writing, Anderson breathed. They're literally writing messages using their formation. They want us to seal the drill hole. They want us to fix what we broke. How? Martinez demanded. We don't have equipment. We don't have Dr. Chen. We don't have anything except weapons and survival gear. We can't seal a geological breach with rifles and MREs. Emma was staring at the satellite feed, at the message spelled in Bison. They're trying to save us. They killed our people because we threatened them, but they're still trying to save us, still trying to get us to prevent the eruption. Why? Because it's not about revenge, I said, understanding dawning. It's about protection. They're not trying to hurt us for killing them. They're trying to stop us from destroying everything. If the supervolcano erupts, it doesn't just kill humans. It kills them too. Their home, their territory, everything in a 1,000-mile radius. They're not enemies, they're defenders, guardians, and we're the threat they're trying to stop. Wilson looked at me. You're saying the Bison are the good guys? They killed 5 of our people. They killed 5 people who were causing a disaster, who ignored warnings, who shot their leader when he tried to help. Put yourself in their position. If you saw someone drilling into something that could kill millions and they ignored your warnings, what would you do? Wilson didn't answer. Because he knew. We all knew. The Bison had shown more restraint than we would have. Had tried communication first. Had tried warnings. Had only resorted to violence when we escalated. When we killed their leader. When we refused to listen. At 1600 hours, the ground shook again. Bigger earthquake, 5.2 magnitude. Felt across the entire park. The visitor center's walls cracked, windows shattered, emergency alarms triggered, and through it all, the Bison didn't scatter, didn't panic, just maintained their formation, maintained their message. Seal breach. That's the 4th earthquake in 2 hours, Emma said, checking the seismic monitors. They're getting stronger. The pressure is building exponentially. At this rate, we have maybe 6 hours before a major eruption event, maybe less. Can we even seal the breach from here? Thompson asked. The drill site is 2 miles away. The Bison are between us and there. We'd have to fight through hundreds of them just to reach the site. And then what? Rodriguez added. We don't have cement. We don't have capping equipment. We can't seal a 500-foot drill hole with duct tape and hope. At 16:30 hours, the Bison changed their message. They rearranged, from seal breach to something new, something more urgent, something that made Emma start crying. 6 hours. They know, she whispered. Oh God, they know exactly how much time we have. They've been monitoring the seismic activity, probably for centuries. They know the warning signs better than any human scientist, and they're telling us 6 hours until eruption. How can they possibly know that? Martinez demanded. They're animals. They don't have instruments. They're connected to the mountain, I interrupted, remembering the Alpha's glowing eyes, the orange heat visible inside him. That geothermal energy, it's not just in them. They're part of it, part of the supervolcano's ecosystem. They can feel the pressure building, feel the magma shifting, feel the eruption coming, because they've evolved alongside it for thousands of years. The radio crackled. Command finally responding. Team 7, we've reviewed satellite footage. We see approximately 1,000 bison surrounding your position. However, we do not assess them as a significant threat. Wildlife Services suggests you remain sheltered until the herd disperses naturally. Extraction will be delayed until the wildlife threat is resolved. Sir, they're not going to disperse, Wilson yelled into the radio. And we don't have time. The drilling breach has triggered seismic instability. We have 6 hours until a potential eruption event. We need geological experts. We need equipment to seal the breach. We need... Team 7, our geological consultants advise that a single drill hole cannot trigger volcanic eruption. You're experiencing normal seismic activity. Remain in place. That's an order. The radio went dead. Wilson stared at it, then at us. They're not coming. They don't believe us. They think this is normal. They think the bison are just confused animals. They think we're panicking over nothing. Then we fix it ourselves, Martinez said suddenly. He was at the window, looking at the herd, at the message spelled in bison bodies. They're telling us what to do. We have 6 hours. We have 2 miles to cross. We have a breach to seal. So we do it. We grab whatever we can use. We fight our way to the drill site, and we fix our mistake before everyone dies. That's suicide, Thompson said. We can't fight 1,000 bison. We don't have to fight them, I replied, thinking it through. They don't want to kill us. They want us to seal the breach. If we move toward the drill site, if we show we're trying to fix it, they might let us pass. They might help us. Or they might stampede us again, Rodriguez countered, like they did to Dr. Chen's team. Dr. Chen was still trying to drill when they charged. We're trying to seal it. There's a difference. Wilson considered, made the hard call. We try. We gather supplies. Anything we can use to seal the breach or at least slow the venting. We move toward the drill site. If the bison attack, we defend ourselves. If they let us pass, we seal the breach and prevent an eruption. Either way, we don't sit here and wait to die. We spent 30 minutes gathering supplies. The visitor center had basic construction materials, cement mix for repairs, plastic sheeting, support beams. Not enough to properly seal a 500-foot geological breach, but maybe enough to reduce the venting, slow the pressure release, buy time for professionals to arrive, if they believed us, if they came, if we survived that long. At 1700 hours, we exited the visitor center, 5 rangers carrying supplies, 1 scientist with the seismic data proving the eruption was coming, all of us expecting to be stampeded the moment we emerged. But the bison didn't charge. They parted, like a curtain opening. The hundreds surrounding the visitor center separated, creating a path, leading toward the drill site, an invitation, an allowance, permission to fix what we'd broken. "They're letting us through," Emma breathed. "Oh my God, they're actually letting us through." We walked, slowly, weapons holstered, hands visible, non-threatening, through the corridor of bison, massive creatures on all sides, close enough to touch, close enough to kill us with a single charge. But they didn't move, didn't attack, just watched, monitored, ensured we were heading toward the drill site, toward the breach, toward fixing the problem. Halfway there, Rodriguez stopped, stared at one of the bison. "Morrison, look at its eyes." I looked. The bison's eyes were glowing, faint orange, just like the alpha's had been. And as I looked around, I realized all of them, every single bison, glowing eyes, connected, unified. One consciousness distributed across 1,000 bodies, all seeing, all knowing, all watching us with the same awareness. "Hive mind," Thompson whispered. "They're all linked. When we killed the alpha, we didn't kill their leader. We killed one voice of thousands. The consciousness survived, distributed, redundant, impossible to kill without killing them all." The bison, closest to us, a younger bull, smaller than the alpha but still massive, turned its head, looked directly at Thompson, and spoke. "Hurry! 5 hours. Now." Thompson stumbled backward. "It talked. That one talked, but the alpha is dead. How can they still talk?" "Because they all can," I replied. The alpha wasn't special. He was just the one who chose to speak to us. But any of them can. All of them share the same knowledge, the same language, the same purpose. We reached the drill site at 17:30 hours. The breach was worse than we'd left it. The venting had increased. The hole had widened from pressure. Cracks radiated outward from the breach. The temperature was unbearable, 120 degrees Fahrenheit within 10 feet of the hole. The smell of sulfur so thick it burned our lungs. "This is bad," Emma said, pulling up seismic data on a portable monitor. "The pressure isn't just building, it's cascading. Each earthquake is triggering stress in new fault lines. It's creating a chain reaction. If we don't stop this soon, we won't just get one eruption. We'll get multiple vents opening across the entire caldera." Martinez examined the supplies we'd brought. "This isn't enough. We can reduce the venting, maybe, slow it down, but fully seal it. We'd need professional equipment, specialized materials, time we don't have." "Then we do what we can," Wilson said. He started unpacking cement mix. "We seal what we can seal. We reduce what we can reduce, and we hope it's enough." Anderson and Thompson positioned plastic sheeting over the breach, trying to contain the venting gas, trying to reduce the pressure release. But the heat melted the plastic immediately. The gas burned through it like tissue paper. "It's too hot," Anderson said. "We can't get close enough to seal it properly. The heat alone will kill us before we can work." "Then we cool it first," Martinez said. He grabbed a fire extinguisher from our supplies, started spraying CO2 at the breach, creating a temporary cold zone, giving them seconds to work before the heat returned. It was desperate, improvised, probably futile, but it was all we had. And the bison watched, hundreds of them, maintaining their distance, not interfering, just observing, ensuring we were trying, ensuring we understood the magnitude of what we'd done. At 17:45 hours, the ground shook again. 5.8 magnitude, the largest yet. The breach widened more. Our partial seal broke. All our progress lost. Emma's monitors showed seismic activity spiking, multiple fault lines activating, underground pressure surging. "It's not working," she said. "We're not even slowing it down. We needed professional equipment from the start. We needed—" She stopped, stared at the Bison, at the herd watching us work. Wait, they knew this wouldn't work. They knew we didn't have the right equipment. They knew our supplies weren't sufficient, so why did they let us come here? Why give us false hope? The youngest bull, the one who'd spoken to Thompson, stepped forward. Closer than any of the others had come. Close enough that we could feel the heat radiating from its body. Close enough to speak quietly. To explain. "You. Try that matters." "What?" Wilson asked. "What matters? You. Try, fix, not make worse, that save you." I understood. They're not measuring success. They're measuring intent. We tried to fix it. We admitted our mistake. We attempted to make it right. That's what saves us. Not whether we actually succeed, whether we tried. The bull nodded, a human gesture, a confirmation. "Yes, you try, now we fix." And then the Bison moved. Not all of them, 20, selected members of the herd. They approached the breach, circled it, and they did something I'll never forget. They lay down, around the breach, bodies touching, creating a living seal, their combined mass pressing against the cracks, their combined heat-resistant fur blocking the venting. And from their mouths, God, from their mouths, a sound, low, resonant, vibrating, like they were humming, like they were singing, a frequency that made the ground vibrate, that made the cracks slow their spreading, that somehow impossibly was affecting the geological instability we'd created. "They're using vibration," Emma said, stunned. "They're creating counter-resonance. The sound frequency is dampening the seismic waves, slowing the pressure buildup. It's working. The venting is decreasing." The Bison maintained their positions, their song, their living seal. For 20 minutes, until the venting stopped completely, until the cracks stopped spreading, until the seismic monitors showed activity declining, stabilizing, returning to normal background levels. They'd done what we couldn't, fixed what we'd broken, sealed the breach not with equipment or expertise but with their own bodies, with their connection to the mountain, with knowledge passed down through generations of guardians. The 20 Bison stood, stepped back from the sealed breach, their work complete. And the youngest bull looked at us one more time. "Mountain, safe. Now, you. Leave. Not. Return." "We won't," Wilson said quietly. "We promise. No more drilling. No more interference. We'll tell command this area is forbidden, geologically unstable, off limits permanently." The bull tilted its head, considering. Then, "Good, you. Learn, few, humans. Learn, you, live, because you try." The herd began to disperse. Hundreds of Bison turning, walking away, returning to their normal territories, their normal lives, their eternal watch over the supervolcano they'd protected for centuries. All except one. The youngest bull stayed, watched us, and spoke one final time. 5. Dead. Your fault. Remember them. Remember. Warning. Next. Humans. Not lucky. Then he turned and followed the herd, leaving us alive, leaving us humbled, leaving us with the knowledge that we'd been saved not by our equipment or our training or our expertise, but by creatures we'd dismissed as animals, creatures who'd tried to warn us, creatures who'd been right all along. And as I watched the herd disappear into Yellowstone's wilderness, I saw them one last time, arranging themselves, spelling one final message visible from above. Guardians. They'd told us what they were, what they'd always been, what they'd continue to be long after we were gone. The protectors of Yellowstone, the defenders of the supervolcano, the intelligence that prevented humanity from destroying itself. And we'd almost killed them for it. We stood at the sealed breach for 30 minutes after the bison dispersed. 5 rangers and 1 scientist staring at the ground where 20 bison had laid their bodies, where they'd sung that resonant frequency, where they'd done what all our technology and expertise couldn't do. The breach was sealed. The venting had stopped. The seismic activity was declining. Emma's monitors showed stabilization across the entire caldera. The eruption had been prevented. The supervolcano was safe, and we owed our lives to creatures we'd tried to kill. "We need to report this," Wilson said finally. He pulled out his radio. "Command needs to know what happened, what we found, what the bison are." "Sir, wait," I said. "Think about what you're saying. If we report that the bison are intelligent, that they can speak, that they sealed a geological breach using their bodies and sound frequencies, what happens? Command investigates. Scientists study them. We learn from them." "No," Emma interrupted. "We capture them, experiment on them, weaponize them if possible. Turn them into a resource to be exploited. That's what happens when the military finds something useful, something unprecedented, something potentially valuable." "They saved the supervolcano," Martinez added. "They saved potentially millions of lives, our lives, and you want to repay them by turning them into lab specimens." Wilson looked conflicted, torn between duty and morality, between orders and what was right. "We have a responsibility to report what we've found. This is the most significant discovery maybe in human history. Intelligent animals, hive mind consciousness, geothermal adaptation, communication abilities. This changes everything we know about evolution, intelligence, consciousness itself." "It changes nothing if we keep it secret," I replied. "The bison don't need to be studied. They need to be left alone, to continue doing what they've been doing for centuries, protecting Yellowstone, protecting all of us from our own stupidity." The radio crackled. Command trying to reach us. "Team 7, respond. We're showing seismic stabilization on satellite feeds. Has the wildlife threat dispersed? Are you ready for extraction?" Wilson looked at the radio, at us, at the sealed breach, making a decision that would define the rest of his life. He keyed the mic. "Command, Team 7 responding. The bison have dispersed. Area is secure. We've successfully sealed the geological breach using emergency materials. Seismic activity is stabilizing. Request extraction at current coordinates." "Copy that, Team 7. What about your report of intelligent bison, of animals exhibiting communication?" Wilson paused, then, "Negative, Command. That was stress-induced misperception, combination of combat fatigue and environmental factors. The bison exhibited normal herd behavior, stampede response to perceived threat, nothing unusual, standard wildlife encounter." A longer pause from Command, then, "Understood, Team 7. Extraction ETA 40 minutes. Prepare for pickup." Wilson lowered the radio, looked at us. "We lie. We tell them it was a geological accident. Equipment failure. Wildlife stampede. 5 KIA due to unfortunate circumstances. We never mention the intelligence, never mention the communication, never mention what the bison really are." "Sir, that's falsifying an official report," Anderson said. That's protecting creatures that saved our lives," Wilson interrupted. "That's honoring the warning they gave us, the warning we ignored until people died. We lie, we protect them, and we make damn sure no one ever drills in this area again." But before anyone could respond, Emma's seismic monitor started beeping, not the urgent alarm from before, something else, a different pattern. She checked the readings, went pale. "The seal is holding," she said. "But it's temporary. The Bison bought us time. Maybe weeks, maybe months. But their biological seal isn't permanent. The pressure will build again. Slowly. Eventually. And when it does, we'll be right back where we started. Except next time the Bison might not help us. Next time we might not get a warning." "So what do we do?" Thompson asked. "We can't leave it like this. We can't just hope it holds forever." "We need a permanent solution," Emma replied. "Proper geological engineering, concrete reinforcement, pressure release valves. This needs to be treated like any other volcanic vent. Monitored, maintained, stabilized properly. But that requires admitting what happened. Admitting we drilled where we shouldn't have. Admitting we created the problem." Martinez was examining the breach, checking the Bison seal, and his expression changed, from concern to determination, to acceptance. "I can make it permanent." "What?" Wilson asked. "The seal. I can make it permanent. Not by adding more material, by collapsing the entire drill shaft, all 500 feet. Bury the chamber we breached. Seal it so deep that nothing can reach it again. Not drilling, not erosion, not time." "How?" Rodriguez demanded. Martinez pulled out his demolition kit, standard Ranger equipment. Enough C4 to breach a reinforced door, or, in this case, enough to collapse an unstable drill hole. "We pack the explosives at strategic points down the shaft. Trigger a controlled collapse. The drill hole caves in on itself, buries the breach, creates a permanent seal using the earth itself." "That's brilliant," Emma said. "The weight of 500 feet of collapsed rock and soil. It would seal the chamber completely, prevent any future pressure release. Make this entire area geologically stable again." "But someone has to go down there," Thompson said quietly. "To place the charges. To set the timers. To make sure it collapses correctly. And with the heat, the instability, the narrow shaft, whoever goes down might not come back up." Martinez was already checking his harness. "I know. That's why I'm volunteering. I'm the demolition specialist. I'm the one who understands the engineering. And I'm the one who killed one of the Bison during the stampede. I owe them this. I owe everyone this." "Martinez, no," Wilson started. "We can find another way. There is no other way, sir. You know it. I know it. This is the permanent solution. This is what ensures the supervolcano stays safe. What ensures the Bison don't have to defend this breach forever. What ensures no other team makes our mistake." Martinez smiled. "Besides, someone needs to take responsibility. Dr. Chen is dead. She can't answer for what happened. But I can. I'm choosing to fix it. Permanently." He started gathering his equipment. Demolition charges, detonators, timer mechanisms, climbing gear for descending the 500-foot shaft, protective equipment for the heat, everything he needed for a one-way trip. "How long do we have?" I asked. "After you trigger the collapse, how long until—" 30 seconds, Martinez replied. "I'll set the timer for 30 seconds after the last charge is placed. That's enough time for me to accept what's coming, to make peace. Not enough time to climb out, not from 500 feet down." The finality of it hung in the air. Martinez was volunteering to die, to seal himself in the shaft with the charges, to ensure the collapse was complete, to prevent the catastrophe we'd nearly caused. We should wait, Anderson said. Get professional help. Engineers, geologists, people who know what they're doing. No time, Emma said, checking her monitors. The Bison's seal is already showing microfractures. The heat is degrading their biological material. We have maybe hours before it fails, maybe less. If we're going to do this, it has to be now. Martinez approached Wilson, saluted. Permission to complete the mission, sir. Seal the breach. Protect the mountain. Honor the Bison who saved us. Wilson struggled. The calculation was brutal. Sacrifice one ranger to save potentially millions. Exactly the kind of decision commanders made in war. Exactly the kind of choice that haunted them forever. He returned the salute. Permission granted, Sergeant Martinez. You're a good soldier. A good man. This will be remembered. You'll be remembered. Just tell my family I died protecting people, Martinez said. That's all that matters. That's all I need them to know. He rigged his harness, started his descent into the drill shaft. We watched through the opening as he dropped into darkness, into heat, into the breach we'd created, carrying explosives that would seal it forever, and seal him in forever. His radio transmission came up from the depths. 100 feet, temperature is 130 degrees Fahrenheit, manageable. Continuing descent. 200 feet, 145 degrees Fahrenheit. Getting harder to breathe. Charges 1 and 2 placed. 300 feet, 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Protective gear is failing, can see the glow from the chamber breach. Charges 3 and 4 placed. 400 feet, 175 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the deepest anyone's been since Dr. Chen. The chamber is massive down here, extends beyond visual range. The Bison were right. This should never have been opened. Charges 5 and 6 placed. 490 feet, I'm at the breach. The chamber Dr. Chen opened. It's beautiful, terrifying. The walls are crystallized magma, glowing orange. Active geothermal vents. This is direct access to the supervolcano's secondary chamber. Opening this could have triggered total caldera eruption. The Bison saved everyone. Remember that. Remember they were heroes. Final charges placed. A pause, then... Timer set, 30 seconds. Tell the Bison. Tell them thank you. Tell them we learned. Tell them they were right all along. His radio cut off. The timer would be running now. 20 seconds, 15, 10. We backed away from the breach, watched from a safe distance, waited for the collapse, for the explosion that would seal the shaft, for the moment that would end Martinez's life and save millions of others. The ground shook, not from seismic activity, from demolition charges detonating in sequence, a controlled collapse starting from the bottom and working up. 500 feet of drill shaft caving in on itself, rock and earth falling, burying the chamber, sealing the breach, creating a permanent barrier that nothing would penetrate again. The explosion was muffled by hundreds of feet of rock, but we felt it, felt the earth settle, felt the pressure release, felt the supervolcano stabilize as the breach was sealed forever. Martinez was gone, buried 500 feet below us. Dead from the explosives or the collapse or the heat. It didn't matter how. He'd completed his mission, fixed our mistake, ensured the mountain was safe. Emma's monitors confirmed it. Seismic activity dropping to baseline, pressure stabilizing, temperature normalizing. The drill site was geologically inert now, sealed, safe, permanent. And then we saw them, the Bison returning. Not all of them, maybe 50, walking slowly towards the collapsed site, forming a circle around it, and from their mouths, that sound, that resonant frequency, but different now. Not sealing, not stabilizing, mourning. They were singing for Martinez, a funeral song, recognition of his sacrifice, honor for the human who'd fixed what his species had broken, who'd chosen to die to protect their mountain, who'd earned their respect. The song lasted 10 minutes. Then silence. The bison bowed their heads. A gesture of respect, of gratitude, of acknowledgement that one human had understood, had learned, had made the ultimate sacrifice for the greater good. Then they turned and left, returned to their territories, their eternal watch, knowing the breach was sealed, knowing the mountain was safe, knowing that at least one human had valued their guardianship enough to die protecting it. Wilson was crying. Openly, he saved us, he saved everyone, and no one will ever know except us. We'll know, I said, and the bison know. That's enough. That has to be enough. The extraction helicopter arrived 30 minutes later, picked up 5 survivors, 4 rangers and 1 scientist, took us out of Yellowstone, away from the supervolcano, away from the herd, away from the evidence of what we'd learned. Command debriefed us. We stuck to the story. Equipment malfunction, geological instability, wildlife stampede, 5 KIA, including Sergeant Martinez, who died sealing an accidental breach. Heroic, tragic, unfortunate. Nothing unusual. Standard operational hazard. They believed us, or pretended to. Either way, the site was marked off limits, permanently closed to research. Too unstable. Too dangerous. No further drilling authorized. The bison had won. Not through violence, not through force, through truth, through sacrifice, through showing us that they were right and we were wrong, that they were guardians and we were threats, that they deserved respect and we deserved humility. And somewhere in Yellowstone, 2,000 bison continued their eternal watch, protecting the supervolcano from humans who didn't understand what they were doing, who didn't appreciate what they were threatening, who needed guardians to save them from themselves. We'd met the guardians, we'd fought them, we'd learned from them, and we'd lost 5 people earning a lesson that should have been free. Respect nature, listen to warnings, and understand that intelligence isn't uniquely human. The herd knew that, had known it for centuries, had tried to teach us. 8 deaths later, we finally learned. 3 years. That's how long I stayed away from Yellowstone after the incident. 3 years of nightmares. 3 years of watching news reports about the park, waiting for another incident, another eruption warning, another team making our mistake. 3 years of carrying the weight of 8 deaths and the secret of what the bison really were. The official report was filed. Equipment malfunction. Geological accident. 5 civilian deaths, Dr. Sarah Chen and her team. 3 military deaths, Corporal Davis, Specialist Foster, and Sergeant Carlos Martinez, who died heroically sealing a geological breach that threatened park visitors. Medals awarded posthumously. Families given closure through carefully constructed lies. The truth stayed with 5 survivors: Lieutenant Wilson, Staff Sergeant Rodriguez, Sergeant Thompson, Specialist Anderson, and myself. We'd been ordered to never speak of what really happened, to protect national security, to prevent panic, to keep the peace. But really, we stayed silent to protect the bison, to honor the guardians who'd saved us, to ensure they could continue their work without human interference. Wilson took early retirement, couldn't handle the guilt. Last I heard, he was teaching high school history in Montana, never married, never spoke about his military service. Spent weekends hiking alone in wilderness areas, maybe looking for redemption he'd never find. Rodriguez stayed in the Rangers, rose to lieutenant. Last I heard, he volunteers with environmental protection organizations, plants trees, cleans rivers, trying to pay back a debt to nature he knows can never be repaid. Thompson left the military entirely, became a park ranger, not at Yellowstone. They wouldn't let any of us work there after what happened, but at Glacier National Park, protecting wildlife, educating tourists, teaching people to respect nature, to listen to warnings, to understand their visitors in someone else's home. Anderson didn't make it. Suicide, 2 years after the incident. Left a note saying he couldn't live with what we'd done. Couldn't forget the alpha bull's eyes when Thompson shot him. Couldn't forget that we'd killed creatures trying to save us. The guilt consumed him. He became the 9th death caused by our arrogance. Emma Harris, the surviving scientist, changed careers. No more geology, no more volcano research. She teaches elementary school now, science class. She tells her students about respecting nature, about listening to animals, about understanding that humans aren't the smartest creatures on Earth, just the most destructive. And me, I stayed in the Rangers for 2 more years, then retired. Moved to Wyoming, close to Yellowstone. Not close enough to visit, just close enough to watch, to monitor, to make sure no other team tried what we tried, to stand guard over the Guardians who were already standing guard over all of us. But 3 years after the incident, I received a letter. No return address, just a Yellowstone postmark. Inside was a single piece of paper with a message written in careful, deliberate handwriting. The mountain remembers. The herd remembers. Martinez honored. You should see. Come. No signature. No explanation. But I knew. Somehow, someone wanted me to return. Someone wanted me to see something. And I had a feeling I knew who. I drove to Yellowstone in September 2026, 3 years and 1 month after the incident. The park was beautiful. 4 million tourists a year visited, most never knowing how close they'd come to dying, how close the supervolcano had come to erupting, how 8 people had died preventing catastrophe, how 1 man had sacrificed everything to seal the breach forever. I hiked to the old drill site. It had been reclaimed by nature. Grass growing over the collapsed shaft. Wildflowers blooming where the breach had been. No sign of human interference. No marker. No memorial. Just wilderness healing itself. But there was something else. Something that hadn't been there 3 years ago. A circle of stones, large ones, arranged in perfect formation around the exact spot where Martinez had descended, where he'd set the charges, where he'd died sealing the supervolcano. A cairn, like the ones the Bigfoot family had built for their dead children. A memorial, built by the Bison, for the human who'd saved their mountain. I approached slowly, respectfully. The stones were massive, each one easily 200 pounds, arranged with precision, and on the largest stone, the centerpiece of the memorial, something was carved. Symbols, markings, not human writing, but deliberate, purposeful, meaningful. I touched the carvings, tried to understand, and then I heard it. From behind me, a voice I'd heard before, deep, rumbling like rocks grinding, but clear, purposeful. He saved mountain. We remember. I turned. 20 bison stood behind me. Silent. I hadn't heard them approach. They'd wanted me here. They'd sent the letter. Somehow, impossibly, they'd sent the letter. They'd waited 3 years for me to be ready. For me to return. For me to see what they'd built. The largest bull, not as big as the alpha Thompson had killed, but still massive, stepped forward. His eyes glowed with that familiar orange light. the geothermal heat visible inside him, the connection to the mountain evident in every movement. Martinez, hero, human, learned, sacrificed, saved, all. I couldn't speak, could barely breathe. They'd built a memorial for a human, for someone who'd died fixing our species' mistake. They'd honored him, remembered him, ensured his sacrifice would never be forgotten. We didn't tell anyone, I managed to say, about you, about your intelligence, your guardianship. We kept your secret, like we promised. The bull tilted his head, considering. Then we know you kept promise. Good. Humans. Few. You won. Martinez won. Others. Learning. Slowly. Others? I asked. You mean the survivors? Thompson, Rodriguez, Wilson? Yes, and more other humans, visiting, seeing, learning, not all. Arrogant, not all. Deaf, some. Listen, some respect. Slowly, changing. He turned, gestured with his head for me to follow. I did. The herd parted, creating a path, leading me away from the memorial into the wilderness, deeper into territory where tourists rarely ventured, where the land was wilder, more primal, more protected. We walked for 30 minutes, the bison leading, me following, until we reached a valley I'd never seen before, a place that couldn't be accessed by road, that didn't appear on tourist maps, that was known only to the Guardians. And what I saw there made me understand, made me realize the magnitude of what the bison had been protecting, what they'd been guarding for centuries. More cairns. Dozens of them, scattered across the valley, each one marking a spot, each one protecting a site, each one sealing something. Not all drill holes like ours. Some were natural vents, some were unstable fault lines, some were areas where humans had tried to mine, to explore, to exploit, and the bison had stopped them, had sealed them, had protected the supervolcano from hundreds of threats over hundreds of years. Our drilling wasn't the first. We weren't the first humans to threaten the mountain. We were just the latest. And the bison had stopped every attempt, had prevented every potential eruption, had saved humanity from itself over and over again without anyone knowing, without anyone thanking them, without anyone even believing they existed. How long? I asked. How long have you been doing this? The bull made a thoughtful sound. Long before humans, here, before, park, before, nation, bison, came, with mountain, evolved, with fire, became, part of earth, guardians, always. The geothermal energy, the glowing eyes, the hive mind, that's all from the supervolcano. You evolved alongside it. Yes, mountain, shares, power, we share consciousness, together, protect, earth, from those who would harm it. But why? I asked. Why protect humans? We've hunted you, nearly drove you to extinction, destroyed your habitat, killed your kind by the millions. Why save us? The bull was quiet for a long moment, then, because mountain, not just ours, belongs, all, eruption, kills all, bison, humans, eagles, wolves, bears, trees, grass, everything, we protect not for humans, for earth, for life, for all. I understood then. They weren't protecting humanity specifically. They were protecting the entire ecosystem, the entire web of life that would be destroyed if the supervolcano erupted. Humans were just one small part of that web, one species among thousands, and the bison protected all of them. Because that was their purpose, their evolved role, their contribution to the balance of nature. "You're not just guardians of the supervolcano," I said. "You're guardians of life itself. Yes, now. You. Understand. Now. You. See. Truth." The herd had been watching me. All 20 of them. Assessing. Judging. Deciding if I was worthy of this knowledge. If I could be trusted with the truth. And apparently, I'd passed their test. "Question," the bull said. "Why? You. Return. Now. 3 years. Late. Why? Now." I was afraid, I admitted. Afraid to see the place where we made such a terrible mistake. Afraid to face what we'd done. Afraid to remember. Fear. Good. Fear. Means. Learning. Means. Understanding. Cost. Those. Without. Fear. Dangerous. Those. Who. Forget. Dangerous. You. Remember. Good. "I'll never forget," I said. "None of us will. Martinez's sacrifice. The Alpha you lost. The warning we ignored. Dr. Chen and her team. All of it. We carry it every day. Good. Carry. Wait. Share. Burden. Teach. Others. That. How. Change. Happens." The bull turned to leave. The herd beginning to disperse. Their message delivered. Their truth shared. But I had one more question. One thing I needed to know. "Will you always be here? Always protecting? What happens when you can't anymore? When the threats become too much? When humans push too far?" The bull stopped, turned back, and in his eyes I saw something I hadn't expected. Not anger, not resignation. Hope. New. Guardians. Always. Coming. Calves. Born. Knowledge. Past. Consciousness. Shared. As long. As mountain. Breathes. Bison. Protect. Forever. And if humans don't learn, if we keep threatening the mountain, keep ignoring warnings, keep making mistakes, then we keep you until you extinct or enlightened, whichever comes first. He made a sound that might have been laughter. Hope, enlightened, faster, less, work. He left, the herd following, disappearing into the wilderness, returning to their eternal watch, their endless guardianship, their protection of a world that didn't know it needed protecting. I stood in that valley for hours, looking at the cairns, counting them, trying to calculate how many times the bison had saved us, how many potential eruptions they'd prevented, how many human mistakes they'd corrected, how many lives they'd saved without anyone knowing, without anyone caring. At least 50 cairns visible, probably more hidden in other valleys, other sites, other places where humans had threatened the mountain and the bison had intervened. 50 times. 50 prevented catastrophes. 50 reasons humanity still existed. All because creatures we considered animals had been smarter, wiser, and more dedicated to preservation than we'd ever been. I returned to the Martinez Memorial before leaving, placed my hand on the carved stone, said a prayer for a friend who'd died fixing our mistake, for a soldier who'd understood what the bison were trying to teach us, for a man who'd valued their guardianship enough to sacrifice everything. And as I stood there, I heard it one more time, from the distance, from the herd now miles away, but carried on the wind, clear, purposeful, final. Tell humans, mountain protected, bison, watching, respect, nature, or, next, time, we not save you. It was both a promise and a threat. They would continue protecting, continue guarding, continue saving us from ourselves, but only if we showed respect, only if we learned, only if we changed our relationship with nature from exploitation to coexistence. And if we didn't, if we continued to push, to drill, to threaten, to ignore warnings, then the next time they'd let us die, let the eruption happen, let humanity face the consequences of its own arrogance, because they protected life, not stupidity. They defended Earth, not those who destroyed it. That was their final warning, their ultimate message, the truth they wanted me to share. I'm writing this now because I'm dying. Cancer. 6 months at most. The same disease that seems to find all of us who carry heavy secrets. The same fate that claimed Anderson, though his death came faster and by his own hand. Before I die, I need to pass on what I learned. What the bison showed me, what Martinez died protecting, what 8 people gave their lives to understand. Yellowstone's bison aren't animals. They're guardians. Intelligent, organized, connected through a hive mind consciousness, evolved alongside the supervolcano, sharing its geothermal energy, using it to protect the entire ecosystem from eruption. They can speak. They can think. They can plan. They can build. They can heal geological wounds that human technology can't touch. They can seal breaches using their bodies and sound frequencies that science doesn't understand. They can prevent eruptions that would devastate continents, and they've been doing it for centuries, probably millennia. Stopping every threat, sealing every breach, preventing every catastrophe, saving humanity over and over again without asking for anything in return except respect, except to be left alone, except for us to stop drilling in places we don't understand. The government knows this, or suspects it. That's why our site was permanently closed, why no geological research is allowed in certain areas of Yellowstone, why some zones are marked off-limits without explanation. They know something is there, something intelligent, something protecting, and they're smart enough, barely, to not interfere. But the secret can't stay buried forever. Eventually, someone will drill again. Someone will ignore the warnings. Someone will threaten the mountain. And the bison will have to decide. Save humanity again? Or let us face consequences we've earned? I hope, God, I hope, that we learn before that day comes. That we develop respect for nature. That we understand we're not the apex of intelligence. That we're just one species among many, and not even the wisest. That guardians exist. That nature protects itself when given the chance. That coexistence is possible if we're humble enough to accept it. Martinez understood that. That's why he sacrificed himself. Not just to seal the breach, but to show the bison that some humans get it. Some humans respect their guardianship. Some humans are willing to die protecting what the bison protect. His memorial stands in Yellowstone still, a circle of stones marking his sacrifice, built by creatures we thought were animals, honoring a human who learned they weren't. Proving that respect transcends species, that sacrifice is universal, that guardianship is sacred. If you visit Yellowstone, if you see the bison grazing peacefully while tourists photograph them, remember, you're looking at guardians, protectors of a supervolcano that could kill millions, defenders of an ecosystem that sustains all life in the region, intelligence that surpasses our understanding. They're watching you, monitoring you, ensuring you don't threaten what they protect. And if you respect them, if you honor their guardianship, if you listen to their warnings, spoken or unspoken, they'll continue saving you. But if you push too far, if you drill too deep, if you ignore what they're trying to tell you, they'll stop you. With coordination, with intelligence, with force if necessary, because their responsibility isn't to humanity. It's to Earth, it's to life, it's to the mountain that breathes fire and the ecosystem that depends on it remaining asleep. 8 people died learning that lesson. Anderson couldn't live with learning it. I'm dying carrying it. Martinez sacrificed everything teaching it. Don't make our mistakes. Don't be the next team that drills where they shouldn't. Don't be the next scientists who ignore warnings from creatures smarter than you. Don't be the next humans who need guardians to save them from their own stupidity. Listen to the bison. Respect the guardians. Honor the mountain. Protect the earth. Because if you don't, the next eruption won't be prevented. The next breach won't be sealed. The next catastrophe won't be stopped. And when Yellowstone erupts, when millions die, when the continent is devastated, don't say you weren't warned. The bison tried to tell us. They've been trying for centuries. They built 50 cairns proving they saved us 50 times. How many more times will they save us before we finally learn? That's the question I'm leaving behind. The legacy of our mistakes. The hope that future humans will be smarter than we were. The herd is watching. The mountain is breathing. The guardians are protecting. Respect them or perish. The choice has always been ours.